Good morning and welcome to our daily devotional from Pilgrim Congregational Church. I'm Patrick Horn. Very glad to have you with us on this Tuesday, May the 16th, 2023, as we continue our study of 1 Peter. And this morning, I'm going to have us focus on the first part of our passage, our lectionary passage for the week, which is 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 12 through 14. So I'll read those verses and offer a few reflections and then close us with prayer. So this is 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 12 through 14. Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery ordeal that is taking place among you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you. But rejoice insofar as you are sharing Christ's sufferings, so that you may also be glad and shout for joy when his glory is revealed. If you are reviled for the name of Christ, you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory, which is the Spirit of God, is resting on you. Well, 1 Peter talks quite a lot about suffering, as we've learned. And we've spent a great deal of time thinking about suffering. And the first part of this epistle really has to do with explicit instructions about how to respond to suffering. So we've talked a lot about the way that we respond to suffering in our own lives and to suffering around us. Here, the letter takes another step forward in this discussion of suffering. In this passage, it's not so much about specific instructions for how to respond to suffering, but a recognition of the fundamental truth of suffering. That is, to recognize that human life is fundamentally about suffering, in that any of us are subject to any of the worst kinds of suffering you could imagine at any point. Many of you have suffered greatly in your lives, and you're very aware of this. You're aware of how things can be going quite well for a time, and then all of a sudden there's a cascade of difficulties and challenges, health issues or financial issues or issues in the family. It can happen to anyone, and this is the nature of human life. These passages, or this particular passage in chapter 4, is about that, and we've been instructed not to be afraid, and now we're being encouraged to accept this suffering as a part of human life, and to recognize that our suffering, when we are oriented to the good, is a participation or a sharing with Christ in suffering, and that it is in this suffering that Christ's glory is revealed. It's an opportunity, which is on the one hand a kind of terrible thing to say about suffering, that it's an opportunity. It's not really an opportunity for something. It's really more of an expression of the nature of humanity and the way that we live as human beings, in caring for one another, in recognizing that there are people around us that are suffering. Such a fundamental part of what it means to be a follower of Christ. Let's close with this prayer from W.E. Orchard. O Lord, may we not imagine, because the world is old and worn, that all things shall continue as they are, and that we can comfort our hearts and take our ease. We cannot tell at what moment hidden fires may flame forth and consume the habitations we have built for our souls. May we not be found wanting at the testing time, all we have labored for proved like stubble to the flame, the foundations we have chosen only sinking sand. Though the days drift dreaming by, may we not conclude they count for nothing. Help us to remember that the book of life is being written, the account is being rendered, The harvest is ripening, the sickle is thrust in the axe is at the root of the tree, the judge is at the gate. May we be counted worthy to stand before the Son of Man and to abide his coming, who is like a refiner's fire. We see the long content of the peoples breaking down. We hear voices that challenge all that people have counted final, fixed, and sure. The foundations of things are shaken. People's hearts are failing them for fear. Enable us to lift up our heads because our redemption draws nigh, to trim our lamps, and at the midnight cry, go forth to meet the bridegroom. Amen. Thank you for joining me this morning from Pilgrim Congregational Church. I'm Patrick Horn, and I hope that you have a very good day. Goodbye.